accompanied his home when they needed a place to stay, building a room on their house for his ailing mother, even putting up a friend of Larry's who needed a place to stay, and almost offering to adopt a friend of Nikki's who happened to be in foster care. He even stepped into the role of surrogate father to a young man named Steve Castleton, Barbara's dwarfing son, when his own father was taken from him in an accident. These demonstrations of the Jewish value of chesed, of compassion towards others, continued up until even just recently, when, as the story I was told goes, Marty gave away Lynette's old car to a plumber who came to work on the house, just so his daughter could have her own wheel. A short time after their son Bruce passed away, the Turkel family came west to California, where Marty found his true professional calling in sales and distribution at BCA Pictures, where he worked for over 20 years. If there was one message I heard over and over again as I met with a family yesterday, it was how much Marty loved his job and loved his industry. He found great satisfaction in participating in the activities of its trade association, the Free Speech Coalition. He had great affection and respect for his coworkers, colleagues, and clients. And they, you, have returned that love and respect not only through your presence here, but throughout the many years that you Marty also loves to play golf. I'm trying to do his friend today, but he did very well. He also, along with his friend Ed, was known to dabble in a little acting now and then. He had a great sense of humor, maybe a little sarcastic at times, but he loved a good joke and he loved a good story. Larry remembers how his father used to laugh and laugh and laugh at the 2,000-year-old man routine of Carl Reiner and Mel Brooks. So last night I listened to one of those 2,000-year-old man recordings. And in one of those routines, the 2,000-year-old man, Mel Brooks, is asked by the interviewer, Carl Reiner, about a sense of humor and to describe the difference between comedy and tragedy. The 2,000-year-old man says, that's easy. I think I see the cut between a couple of huts. That's a tragedy. It's about me. You fall in a hole and break your leg. That's comedy. How beautifully that piece of humor highlights exactly the person Marty Turkel was not. He always seemed to care more about you than about himself. How perfect for Marty that the song he and Lynette danced to at their wedding was, My Heart Belongs to Only You. As Nikki shared yesterday, how ironic that a man with such a big heart was taken from us when his own heart failed. Martin Turkel, Ismanao de Barton, At this point, I'd like to invite Marty's brother, Ali, to share a few words with us. He will be followed by, I believe, Gail. Bonnie. And then Jacob. And after that, we will invite those of you gathered here today to briefly share perhaps a memory or an image or a story about
If anyone ever doubted Marty's courage or his will to live, they did not know it. For the past several years, Marty courageously spent every single day fighting for his life. And with selfless hope and devotion, he won every single daily battle from local matters. The will to keep him going was as strong as ever, and his body wasn't. We've all heard someone say, quote, he was more than my brother, he was my friend. Well, Marty was he was my brother. The best brother any anyone could have or hope to have. When we were growing up in Brooklyn, Marty was my protector. He loved to introduce me as his kid brother. Even though he was 18 months older than me, he still took me with him wherever he went. When he and his friends formed a club, the Brooklyn Clippers, he made sure I became a member too. I remember he had a big date. He was all of 12 and I was all of 10 and a half. Guess who went on that date with him? I don't mean to imply that Marty was an angel, far from it. When I was 9 and he was 11 and a half, he gave me his money to steal a cookie and did what any other good brother would do. He blackmailed me for 3 months. I could spend a long time telling you all about my brother. How, when my mother was sick, he and Lynn built a room, really a wing, to their house and brought her there to live with them. When my brother Robbie, may rest in peace, needed a place to stay or needed anything, Marty and Lynn came to his rescue. Marty was one of the hottest cookers anybody ever saw and enjoyed everything that he did. But his biggest joy, his greatest pleasure came from his family, whether it was Lynn, Mickey, Larry, Pam, Jack. When he spoke about them, there was always a brightness in his eyes and a smile in his voice. But most especially when he spoke about his grandchildren, Bryce and Jackie. This past Monday, we all lost someone special. Someone very special.
I wanted to read something that my dad wrote last night. He wanted to talk that he wanted to be able to terminate the story. I always called Marty with Liz. He was the guy who built the company together. But more than that, he was the glue to the industry. I always told him if things don't work out for him in our business, that he could get a job at Elmer's. Not many people can boast about having a friend like Marty. He was more than a friend. He was like a brother. We worked together for almost 30 years, sometimes fought like cats and dogs, but underneath his strength, our friendship overcame whatever differences we had. The last 3 years, he has suffered more than anyone I have ever known, and he was so lucky to have his beautiful wife Kim by his side constantly. As much as I love him and will miss him, I am thankful that his suffering is now over. I have almost 3 decades of memories, and to list them all would be a book larger than War and Peace. My love goes out to Lynn and Larry, Mickey, Pam, Jack, the grandchildren who are the center of your world, and we know what we will miss Cousin David. Marty, I love you, and I miss you always. And I wanted to say a little something. So, after my dad, I don't know if all of you know my dad, but he was the other half of the Marty and Comedy Hour. It was a 28-year run, and the show never got stale. Constant banter between them from who was better looking, criticizing the other's driving skills, who wrote the dinner order, or whose grandchildren were smarter. The one story that I can think of that demonstrated the depth of father was when DPA had been bought by Larry Flint, and Marty and my father were so unhappy there. And my boss at the time was opening a new company, and he wanted to take my father to lunch to see if my father wanted to sell some wine. So after we sat and we had lunch and they talked, and my dad got everything he wanted in this offer, and we were walking to the car, and I said, "So Dad, what do you think?" And he said, "I have to go back and talk to Marty." I said, "I can't believe it." I don't know that my father was ever that considerate of either of his wives. One of them being my mother. Marty was a different story. And I know Marty would have said and done the exact same